Well, now the pressure on Facebook comes amid a push to see the ACCC and the Treasurer's Department to expand its digital platforms inquiry to the impact of streaming services on traditional broadcasting models. For more, Screen Producers Australia CEO Matt Diener joins me live in studio. Matt, welcome to the program.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay, so this is, we're talking about that first in show, that first around the world, this inquiry that the ACCC is holding into those tech behemoths.
Yes.
So why are you getting on this bandwagon now?
Well, look, the ACCC's got an inquiry to look at the effect of traditional players such as free-to-air television and Foxtel as to the advertising market and the news market. And we are saying that that inquiry that the ACCC's looking at also needs to consider broader content, because we represent all of the people that make all the film and television in Australia, and these guys that come into the market like Netflix, Amazon, but also YouTube and Facebook have disruptive capabilities. They are disrupting traditional models of doing things, and if we only look at this through the prism of news, or advertising, we're not actually considering the full effect of what's happening in terms of disruption.
So tell us who exactly you represent and what effect the Netflixes of the world are having on your industry.
So we're made up of about 500 small to medium businesses that create all of the film and TV that Australians enjoy.
So you're talking production companies?
Yeah, production companies. So everything from Married at First Sight to The Gruen Transfer to Wentworth, they're all made by production companies in Australia that are commissioned by a number of players like
Foxtels, Nines, everybody.
Absolutely. ABC and SBS are the major commissioning people. They've all got to fight for a territory at the moment around what they do, right? So you've got new entrants in the market that are coming in, but they don't have the obligations on their services like Foxtel or 7, 9 and 10 do to create Australian content. So they're coming into this market and really able to kind of do what Uber did across lots of territories, play their own rules into this system. And we're saying, first of all, you've got to look at the effect of what these players have on everyone, because they're the ones that have been sustaining a production industry and creating with us the content that everyone enjoys. But you've also got to consider how we're going to do it in the future, because you need to have them incorporated into a system of contribution.
So what do you want to see? Do you want to see Netflix to have a 55% Australian content rule and regulation around it?
Well, it's interesting because the way Europe's considered this is they have said, first of all, acknowledged that there is competitive tensions that come from these big players coming into the market. Look, and we love them. We love the fact that there's new entrants. We love competition for ideas, and Australian consumers love them as well, because Netflix is now, I think, in half the households. It's got about 4 million subscribers. It's trampled all over everyone else, Stan and Foxtel, in terms of those quick, accessible to entry points into audience. And that's changed a set of behaviours. However, what Europe's done is look at that and say, you know what, we need them to contribute to European storytelling. We don't just want to have content from America, say, in our territory. So they've done 3 things. They've said, first of all, you've got to have at least 30% of your library catalogue has to be European. They've also said you have to contribute up to 30% of your revenue stream into new European content. And they've said you've got to make sure that people can find it, because in a big database like Netflix, you could also lose it pretty easily. Out of all those suggestions, we think the most important one is that they contribute $1 for environment, like Foxtel, for example, does with their regulations, such that they are contributing to new stories in this market, because then they're contributing.
Now, the devil's argument is that if Australians wanted to see that content, then they would be consuming it on the platforms that already exist. I mean, It's being created, so if it was that good, is Netflix that much of a threat?
Well, okay, so there's the challenge in that Australians love Australian content. If you look at all the lists of what is actually penetrating in terms of the top programming across the year for free-to-air television and for Foxtel, it is that Australian programming. MAFS is the #1 reality TV show. We love it. And the dramas do incredibly well. The reason that Wentworth gets recommissioned, yes, it's partly a requirement, but you talk to Foxtel and say they do this because it's a good strategy for them. So the issue with you dealing with a big international company is that they have an $8 billion war chest, but we are a relatively small territory. We're 5 million, and we are also substitutable for other language such as English and speaking territories that do a lot of content. So the risk for us is that they are taking a lot of money out of this territory to the detriment of our current people who are servicing and working with us, but not contributing back that amount. So at the moment they've done a one commission, solid commission in Tidelands. They've got another couple up their sleeve, but compare that to the sort of millions of dollars that are invested each year by Foxtel and 7, 9 and 10, that is nowhere comparable. So you need to create a framework and a floor in which they're continually doing work, or else what you're doing is you're saying that new competitor can undermine the current providers of this system and not have to contribute anything to it.
What is your industry worth? I mean, what is the worst case scenario if the ACCC doesn't, take this fight up?
Yes.
I'm sure you'll continue battling on.
I will be continuing to battle on. The industry, we, just as the independent production sector, contribute about $1.5 billion of production revenue into the system. The employment levels anywhere between 20 to 40,000 people that constantly work on this type of production work. But we're as much interested in the opportunity for our sector, because if you look at other creative industries globally, they are absolutely doing this same sort of regulation model, but they're also kicking goals. They're bringing an export focus to what they do, and they have had year-in-year growth, especially in somewhere like the United Kingdom, which has driven their creative industries into the future. We're exporting to about 200 countries. We want to see that expand, but we need partners that are looking at a small territory, out-of-the-way territory like Australia on a global level, to be saying, no, come and play with us, and we're good to play with, we do excellent work, but we need a combination of sticks and carrots to do that with most global businesses.
Right, well, I wish you well.
Thank you
for coming in today. Matthew Diener, he's from the Screen Producers Australia Group. He's the CEO there. Thank you.